Overthinking is ganking your possibilities of success. If you're a person who is feeling stuck, stagnant, or you're feeling less than, you need to watch this video because we're about to go into it. And let me tell you, I am not a foreigner to overthinking. To overthinking even the most simplest things of my business, like posting a simple photo on Instagram, for example. These are all the things that people who are building something, if you call yourself an entrepreneur or a business person, or you're aspiring to even try to do that, you understanding what it's like to deal with overthinking and feeling overwhelmed, or even just things are not going your way. But 9 times out of 10, there is this one mental block that is really keeping you from tapping into your best self. This video is going to be a little bit different than the video I did a few months ago about perfectionism. This video is really going to touch point and really go into depth about overthinking and how overthinking can cause you to take a lack of action. Now, a lot of the times, if you are overthinking, it can actually ruin your productivity over time. And recently I was dealing with and working with a client, and I was building out this client's business. We're going to use this my client for example. It was not the fact that she wasn't happy with the work that I was doing. The website was getting amazing traction and good reviews, but she wasn't able to really recognize what was going on. And that was the overthinking, the process of her getting a website for the first time and her actually being official to really stagnant, and it led the project to go really slowly. Why? Because of overthinking. And so if you're anything like my client that I dealt with, this client was a wonderful person. I still have dealing with them today. But I wanted to talk about analysis paralysis and how it can look like and present itself to a person who is building a business and who is building their portfolio, their website, whatever it is. And I noticed that throughout the project, we really were hitting a wall because of my client's overthinking. And there's nothing wrong with the overthinking of things not necessarily having to be perfect, but the thinking in terms of the slowing down of things. Analysis paralysis is real. And one of the ways that you can analysis paralysis is real. And although it affects so many entrepreneurs, there's are ways that you can break free from this trap of thinking and of not having the productivity that you want and you know that you can achieve. And let me paint you guys a picture of overthinking at its worst. It's something that so many people who are building, especially if you're building something by yourself or even with others, you can still deal with it. And it is probably one of those the most frustrating things because it is not procrastination. It's not like it's something that you're putting off or you're actively trying to do it, but you're overthinking it to the point where as though you wind up psyching yourself out of actually doing the thing that you want to do. A lot of the times, this overthinking also can come in different forms of comparison. Some people get caught up in a comparison trap, especially if you're on social media. Social media is one of those breeding grounds for comparing yourself to people, of looking what they did and how they did their brand, and then comparing yourself to them. And the truth is, a lot of people are at different times and different marks and points in their life and in our journey, and comparing yourself to other people and overthinking your own journey takes away your own positive energy and positive pull in a situation. And the reason why it does that is because instead of you using your vibe and in order to fulfill the goals that you are putting out into the universe that you said that you're going to achieve, you're giving it your energy and your time to look at what Paulo just did. Look at what so and so just achieved. And it's great to be happy and to scroll and be happy for people. But to compare yourself or to overthink your own journey is doing yourself a disservice. So how does one stop overthinking? That's a question, and I'm still personally trying to answer it. But I can share with you guys what I've learned so far about comparison and why overthinking is so prevalent in our society right now. Overthinking can look like different things to different people. It can look like fear. Fear is a lot of the things that are behind the overthinking of what can it be, what can happen from the situation. Fear can downright just be paralyzing, can make you just super afraid to even try the project. So a lot of times when you find yourself overwhelming, being overwhelmed, it can be fear, can be a big motivator behind that. And combating fear, it's definitely not simple, but it is doable. I really recommend you guys. This is probably going to be a journaling type of video. So if you're into, I recommend that you guys are watching this, please have your journal out while we're going in and talking about this. Go grab it. We're going to get into the nitty gritty because this is low-key almost bordering on of inner work in a sense, this video, because overthinking and feeling overwhelmed is a very serious topic. And it's super prevalent because of the comparisons and how people compare themselves on social media. And so write down what I want you guys to write down next on a piece of paper in your journal is to come up with one way that you have faced fear in the past, whatever it is that you're dealing with. Maybe it's something that you're trying to build a project and you've come across it and it's something that you are afraid of. Write down what those fears are, however many that there are, and what it is in depthly that you're afraid of. Because a lot of the time that fear can be masked as being prepared for something. Fear can look like you making something. Fear can be like you trying to make a design and make it so perfect, and instead of you launching it, you just sit on it. And another thing that overthinking can create is that perfectionism. Perfectionism is something that also really does lie at the edge and on in the underneath of the umbrella of overthinking and feeling like work isn't great, it's not this way, it's not that way. These are all emotions that come up, especially when you are trying to build something and you've dealt with things in. And one other part of how being and actually being an overthinker can show up is the analysis paralysis. Analysis paralysis is very real, and overthinking is at the helm of it. But I really want to touch on in this video is the comparison aspects. If you next journaling prompt, I would say, you know what the fears are, you know what you're overthinking about. So write down one of the ways that you're overthinking. Maybe you're comparing yourself to others. Maybe you're thinking about and looking at what they're constantly doing as opposed to understanding that whatever it is that you're capable of and what you're good at. So write down one of the things that are you find yourself falling into, the comparison. And then I want you to write something that you're actually good at, something that you're so good at that you cannot even beat yourself up about, something that you're great at, naturally talented by. So for some people watching this, you're going to be amazing at writing, you're going to be amazing at reading or interacting and socializing with people. Whatever it is that you're really great at, write that down. And this kind of goes into ikigai almost, in a sense of finding purpose. And I think I may also make a video on that if you guys are interested in the future of how to find purpose, because I feel like that's a part of life that we're all kind of looking for in a sense. But finding necessarily what you're good at is super important to just life in general, and just making sure that you can live a quality of life that you're happy with. But yes, after you've written all of that down about how it is that you're feeling, just understanding that the cost of overthinking can look like things like you not taking opportunities when they are presented to you. They can look like you not taking on roles that you know that you're more than capable of, you blocking things from your path because things are going to be super slow and stagnant when you are in that state of constantly overthinking, constantly comparing yourself. Why? Because it drains your energy. And I personally am dealt with this in the past, and I want you guys to know that if you are dealing with overthinking and feeling overwhelmed, there are ways of dealing with it, making lifestyle changes, as well as making sure that you are taking care of those parts of yourself. And it definitely is like a day-to-day process of learning how to stop being overwhelmed and stop to overthinking. And the truth is, our brains are naturally programmed to overthink, to naturally programmed to think through all of the options, because back when humans were in the wilderness in this primal stage, they had to weigh out pros and cons of, is this going to be a dangerous situation, to is this going to be a great situation, a great opportunity. And what happens nowadays, especially with so much technology that we deal with, so much structure that we have, it's great, but it comes with the issue of our nervous systems and how we can sometimes get into a state of being dysregulated. And truly, our brain scans for negative situations and negativity 5 times more than it does positive situations and positivity. So when you are overthinking, you're wanting to do something, 9 times out of 10, your brain is going to naturally just go and search out for all of the negative aspects of what the situation can be, what are the possible outcomes. So the only way that you can combat that, and that most people find effective, is to really understanding what you're afraid of necessarily and making it so clear and so profound to yourself that you can't be like, oh, I don't know what I'm afraid of. Because fear is one of those things where, as though it's such a powerful emotion, but on the other side of that fear, once the air around it, adrenaline disappears, it's what are the emotions that lie underneath that fear, especially as a person who is trying to build something, trying to do something, but those blockages are still coming up for you as overthinking, as lack or limiting beliefs. And a lot of what I do with one-on-one coaching is I help people with understanding their own businesses, understanding their own journeys. And it's not to say that I'm like this super guru or I know everything, because I don't. I'm still on my journey of learning as well. But as many people as I can help who are young entrepreneurs like myself, who are on the journey to learning, on a journey to understanding, and on a journey of self development. I make these videos for that type of audience who are interested in learning more about their own mindset, because in doing their inner work, because at the end of the day, the goals that you set out for yourself are yours, and what you find yourself being drawn to, I believe that you're drawn to those things for a very important reason. So if you're a person who wants to make music and sing or whatever it is that you want to do, you're able to understand why you want to do it. And I truly believe in the principles of ikigai and what it means to actually have stuff that you're good at and to try your best to follow it, because I do think that people are sort of almost like blessed with different gifts in terms of how they interact and are in and around the world for a purpose. And so for all of those who understanding and wanting to look for breakthroughs, I believe that breakthroughs around overthinking. The reason why I'm making the video actually is because I just had a realization of, wow, I'm actually overthinking. Let me actually make a video about overthinking. And to all my girls and guys who are watching this video, just understanding that, hey, the overthinking, it is something that most people who are building entrepreneurs are dealing with. And it could be quite triggering to deal with, especially if you don't have the tools or the resources to understand it. It feels like you can possibly be in it all by yourself, but that's simply not true. And I encourage all of you guys to really make a daily practice of understanding and scanning what it is that you're overthinking about it. Doing it, making things like lifestyle changes of understanding, like maybe I can do yoga, maybe I can do things to combat the overthinking, come into my situation, my workspace, my schooling, my whatever it is, whatever places that you're going to, or if you're just working from home. Whatever it is that you are overthinking, just know that on the other side of that overthinking is what you need to do, which is action. And shifting productivity into action is by taking small actionable steps each and every single day in order to achieve what your desire is. And I encourage all of you watching that are struggling with this to really take an inventory of your things that you don't want and what the worst possible outcome could possibly be, and understanding also what the best possible outcome could be, and really going every single day putting that forward as opposed to the fear of what if. And the true thing about overthinking is that the only antidote seemingly to overthinking is action. A lot of the times you are overthinking the action that you have to take. You can wind up sitting on it for years and years. I'll actually give an example of my own overthinking thing that I was doing. And so I don't drive, and I've been in a process of learning to drive now since I was 17. I'm not 17 anymore, and I'm still in this process of learning to drive now, finally, because of the fact that I went and I did something that I was putting off for years, which was going on to the DMV and actually getting, everything straightened out for me to begin to learn to drive. And so I'm finally able to do so now. And it is definitely one of those things. Wow, once you've actually done the thing that you've been putting off for years, is this kind of like, wow, I was doing that and it was like skinning teeth almost in a sense. And now it's complete. Now what? On to the next thing you're gonna overthink about. But I say all that to say this is like the overthinking is so real, but the overthinking feels super real, but it doesn't have to be it is not the end game of everything. And please, please, please focus on those dreams, focus on building yourself up, and don't let the dreams just go away. Don't let them be like someone turning the lights off because of something as real as overthinking. It does feel very real. And the truth is, someone is out there is looking probably for the impact that you're thinking of doing, that you've just been sitting on, of not actually taking action towards. Someone might be looking for that solution. Someone may be looking for the value that you can bring to the table by just showing up and showing up and creating that product, whatever your words are. It's like, wow, your impact can be so big, especially as a person who doesn't even think that they can have that much impact. Those are the people who wind up doing the most. If you ever watched the movie Forrest Gump, and I know that you guys are gonna be roasting me in the comments, but the movie Forrest Gump talks so much about what it's like to live in a state of not necessarily overthinking things, and what happens when you don't overthink things and you just let life flow. And the truth is, you don't have to be the smartest person, but you don't have to be the smartest person in a room. You don't have to be the best at this and that. You just have to show up, try your best to be good at the things that you're good at, and the rest kind of takes care of itself almost, in a sense. Whereas though Forrest Gump's character, he's like doing all of these things that he's interested in and he's not overthinking anything. And then when he does overthink, he goes and he runs until he stops thinking about it. But maybe I'm reading into Forrest Gump, but that's what I really took from the movie when I watched it. But I ain't gonna say it, life is like, but life is kind of like the movie Forrest Gump in a sense, whereas though you want to just run when you have to. And so I'm challenging all of you guys to be a little bit more like Forrest Gump in your journey, if possible. And I give you all this challenge. So journaling's not over. I'm challenging you guys. Comment something that you've been putting off and give yourself a deadline of 24 hours in order to complete the one goal that you've been putting off. So maybe it's going to the DMV, whatever it is for yourself, of making it happen in that 24 hours. And as long as it's not hurting anyone. If something good and positive that you've been putting off for 24 hours that can actually help you and change your life or change someone else's life, go ahead and do it for the best. Go ahead and actually plan to take action. Maybe it's just one small step. Maybe it's a huge leap. Whatever it is that you're putting off, literally just do it. Oh my God. I should put that meme in there when I'm editing. But just, I guess, be more like Forrest Gump, you guys, and don't be so hard on yourself also, I would say, in this video as well. I know I'm going in a bit too long. I don't know how much it is I'm actually going to put in the video, but I really recommend it, you guys. I hope that you guys have taken something from the video. I know I'm going a little bit long-winded. If you guys would like the video on Ikigai, once again, just drop it in the comments. And I'm also thinking of starting a few more series on this channel. So let me guys know what you think, and I will guys catch you on the next one. Bye. Bye.